Our next speaker is compañero and comrade Orie Lumunba, who's a longtime activist and MOVE supporter that many of you know. Next Friday, as he'll tell you, February 12th, he's holding an important event in support of the parole for the MOVE political prisoners. He is also going to give an update on Mumia, since Pam Africa could not be with us this evening. Thank you, Orie.
Thank you, thank you. All right, on the move. We're going to get into the first thing first. First, we stand in solidarity with our brother Leonard, and we demand the unconditional release of our brother Leonard Peltier from U.S. prison, as we do all our political prisoners. Okay, we have a serious situation going on with the life of our brother Mumia Abu Jamal. What Philadelphia police failed to do on December 9th, 1981, what this government failed to do in August of 95 and September of 99, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections is trying to do now, and that's murder Mumia. And if they can get away with it, then they'll do it. So it's up to us, the people, to save the life of Mumia right now as he suffers from hepatitis C, him and the thousands of men and women across Pennsylvania state prisons. A week ago, Mumia got out of the infirmary after being there basically for all of 2015, except the times where he was taken to the outside hospital where he got treatment that he needed. You know, despite the 2 weeks he spent in general population prematurely when he was sick and dying, our brother is back out now in general population. He's put back on his weight, his skin is getting better, his hair is starting to grow back, but the life-saving treatment that Mumia needs right now, he has still not gotten. And that's because the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, under the guise of this government, is trying to carry out cold-blooded murder and murder Mumia. And we cannot allow that. Right now, the federal judge who heard Mumia's suit and the many men and women across the state of Pennsylvania who was included in this suit, back in Scranton, Pennsylvania, back in December of 2015, arguments was made for why Mumia should receive the treatment, him and the many men and women. It's expected that the judge is going to make a decision soon on this case. So I want to advise people, we can't get lax, we can't get let up, because this government intent is to still kill Mumia, and they will do it if they can and get away with it. But it's up to us. Just like we took to the streets in 95, like we took to the streets in 99 and saved Mumia life, like how we brought Mumia off of death row into general population. This is the same thing now. This fight is no different than it was back then to save the life of our brother Mumia Abu Jamal. So, thank you. So again, there's a lot of people here you could talk to. Suzanne Ross is here from the Free Mumia Coalition. We have people from the campaign to bring Mumia home who you can talk to. You can go to www.freemumia.com for more information and what you can do in the help to save the life of Mumia Abu Jamal. As we prepare for Mumia's 62nd birthday, telling people be in Philly, April 24th for Mumia's birthday. Stay abreast of the situation because Mumia's life is at stake here. The issue of medical neglect is common in United States prisons, especially as it relates to political prisoners who's died under the hands of medical neglect. Kawazi Balgoon, Albert Noah Washington, Bashir Hamid, Richard Williams, all murdered by prison officials by the inadequate medical care or the lack of medical care. Right now, we fighting to save the life of our brother Robert Seth Hayes. We fighting to save the life of Leonard Peltier. We fighting to save the life of Aman Jamil Al-Amin. We fighting to save the life of Mumia Abu Jamal. They haven't broken our people after all these years in prison. They're showing resiliency. Their fight is greater. So if they can't kill them through a long-term incarceration, they're gonna speed it up through medical neglect. And that's where we step in and we have to fight. We wasn't able to save Albert Noah Washington. We wasn't able to save Kawazi Balgoon. No, we wasn't able to save Richard Williams. They had the plan and it was set. We got seriously work to do here to say not another political prisoner murdered through medical neglect. Not another one. It's time we take a stand against this. So again, as we said, there's people here you could talk to. Suzanne Ross is here from the Free Mumia Coalition. We have our comrades from the campaign to Bring Mumia Home, Workers' World Party, different people who put out the information in the fight to save Mumia's life. So again, tell people ABC is here. You can go to www.freemomia.com, or if you can call 212-330-8029 to get involved in the fight to save the life of Mumia Abu Jamal and all the men and women across Pennsylvania suffering from hepatitis C, throughout prisons across the U.S. suffering from hepatitis C. I remember when the late, great Safia Bukhari did an article on this in 2000 about the rising epidemic of hepatitis C in the prisons itself. On that note, we got serious work to do to get the medical care needed for our brother Mumia and the men and women across the state of Pennsylvania. On the move on that. This won't be too long, but I'm multitasking today, but they asked me to give an update on the situation with my family, the Move 9, and the parole situation. On the first thing, we'll be here. We're doing a program Friday night, February 12th, at the Malcolm X Dr. Betty Shabazz Center, Uptown, Washington Heights, Harlem. An evening of solidarity for parole for moved political prisoners. That'll feature the likes of Amina Baraka, James McIntosh, Iman Al-Haj Talib Rashid, Harabik Tubman, Caleb Maupin, so many others, Elsie the Poet, the New York premiere of Our Children Life, their New York debut. And we're launching a campaign aimed at gaining parole for our sisters. They'll be making either their 7th or 8th parole appearance this May 2016, and we to the point where we saying enough is enough. Our people became eligible in 2008, and from 2008 up until the present of 2015, in parole denial of our brother Delbert Africa, all of our people have been denied parole. This government and the parole board has come up with every excuse possible, which through the power of the people, like people in this room who've made phone calls, who've sent emails, who've sent letters on the Move 9's parole plight. This government, every excuse that they've had has been taken away. The nature of the crime. Our people are innocent. The lack of motivation for parole, despite the fact that prison officials have recommended our people for parole. The fact that they refuse to show guilt. Why would you show guilt for something you didn't do? Bottom line, our people is innocent, and you could look no further than the judge that sentenced them to 30 to 100 years when he said they was innocent and he was sentencing them because they was Move members. We have backed this government into a corner and the parole board over the issue of the Move 9. And that's why Eddie Africa just had his parole hearing when he was due to go before the board in October, because this government is out of excuses and they in a position where they got to do the right thing and they don't want to do the right thing, and that's why they stalling. But we're going to continue to keep the pressure on them and to stay in their face over this issue. We're still waiting word on our brother Eddie Africa's parole hearing. A decision should be rendered soon, but there'll be more info to follow on that. But again, we'll be here. Come see us. We telling people to come out Friday night, February 12th, 2016, from 7 to 10 p.m. The Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center, Uptown. From what we hear, our brother Mumia is going to be a part of the program. Some of our people in the prison, like Delbert, Janine, they're going to be calling in. We have a lot of great speakers like Laura Whitehorn, Suzanne Ross. We have Elsie the Poet, Elsie Law, the Universal Zulu Nation is going to be out there, Anarchist Black Cross Federation. So this is going to be a community event making the call for parole for moved political prisoners. And they might be in there that night. FOP might be in there. The PBA might be in there. They're gonna get the information too. We taking the fight right to them because we know who's steering up these parole denials. The FOP, the PBA. Look at the facts with Sundiata, who's steering up his parole denials. Who's steering up Jalil's parole denials? Who's steering up the Move 9's parole denials? Who's led the fight to kill Mumia, the FOP? Who's led the fight to keep Leonard in prison, denied parole? FOP, FBI, PBA, don't matter the name. A cop is a cop and they the enemy. And it's up to us to take a stand and bring all our freedom fighters home. On the move.
Thank you, Brother Orie. Now, some of us won't be here for the 12th, but we'll be there in spirit. The Black, Puerto Rican, and Asian Caucus is happening in Albany next weekend. And so some of us are going up there to table, to give out literature, and to talk to people about our New York State political prisoners. So the work is multi-pronged and it has many different aspects. So we can't always be everywhere, but we can be somewhere doing something. And we ask everybody else. Everybody can't do everything or the same thing, but everyone can do something. And most importantly, we have to remember the kind of country we're living in. This is not my country. This was imposed on me, right? So I don't say our government, our country. This is not my country, right? But it is a police state. We are living in a police state. So when the FOP and the PBA are organizing against us, they are the government because they are working on behalf. They are the ones that they are the representatives that we see on the streets. Like the military is the police that people around the world see. We see the police here. But the parole boards are made up of the people that are doing the bidding for the government. They work for the government. And so we have to put pressure on the governors, for people who vote, for people who elect their officials, put pressure on them to say these governors should not be appointing people who are judges and prosecutors and police on the parole board because they have an interest in keeping people in prison. Our people will never get out of prison if we are relying on a parole board that's made up of police officers and made up of prosecutors who make their living by locking people up. So there's many ways that we have to fight that. So I want to see who do I have to call now?
Mr. Ramos, Benjamin.
Oh, okay, so you're saying one thing, my comrade here is saying something else. Who do I defer to?
Ben Ramos on the Puerto Rican prisoners, no?
Okay.
Okay then.
So
Laura, you've waited long enough. Come up. That's the last time Ann's going to do that.
So, culture is very important for us. It is a weapon either for our liberation or our oppression. And most of what we hear in the mainstream is for our continued oppression. But in these environments, and most of us, we use culture as a weapon for our liberation. So I would like to introduce you to Sister Laura Ortman. A white Mountain Apache is a Brooklyn composer, musician, and visual artist. She continually collaborates with artists, filmmakers, dancers, and musicians from New York, New Mexico, Italy, and Canada. She has performed, recorded, and toured with New York bands Starlight Fleas and The Dust Dive. She's been awarded artist residencies at the Rauschenberg Residency in Captivia, Florida, the Museum of Contemporary Native Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and at Issue Project Room in Brooklyn, New York. In 2008, she founded the Coast Orchestra Room, She founded the Coast Orchestra, an all Native American orchestral ensemble performing the 1914 original score live accompaniment to photographer Edward Curtis's film In the Land of the Headhunters, to sold-out audiences at the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., and the American Museum of Natural History in New York.
Greetings. All right. No PA now. My name is Ortman.
be together. And
Thank you so much.
Yes, let's give it up for Sister Laura Ortman. Sister, you gave us, you offered us, you provided us with something beautiful for this beautiful struggle in which we gather. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we want to do, because this, we do this struggle, we are engaged in this beautiful struggle with all the areas, the nations that fight for their freedom, that resist oppression and tyranny and terror. So I would like to call up, but before I do that, we really need people's attention. Excuse us. It's really a disservice when we have artists who perform. The artists are just as important as the speakers. And so when people donate their time, then we have to honor that. So I work with high school students, and I always say you can't talk and listen at the same time. So we do ask people to honor the people that come to stand and give of themselves, because when the Red Storm are playing, they're giving of themselves. When Sister Lori was playing, she was giving of herself. When Brother Frank was playing, he was giving of himself. And when we come to speak to you, to share what we think and feel and how important this work is to us, we are giving of ourselves, just like you're giving of yourself to be here. So this is about reciprocity. So we hope that we can all share in that reciprocity. So Ben the Pen, as he is called on the inside of the wall because of his letters, we calling him back up to give an update on our brother Oscar López Rivera.
Okay, brothers and sisters, when I say freedom, you say now. Freedom. Now. Freedom. Now. Freedom. Now. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to give you a brief update on the case of Puerto Rican political prisoner Oscar López Rivera and of prisoner of conscience Ana Belén Montes. Brothers and sisters, about a month ago today, Oscar López Rivera turned 73 years old. 34 of those years have been spent in jail. That means that almost half of his life he's been behind the walls for being a revolutionary socialist Puerto Rican independence fighter. I can't stress that enough. Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States. He is in jail because he fought for the liberation and self-determination of our country. Sometimes when we talk about Oscar, we focus on that he's an elderly man and a former Vietnam vet, and he's tired and he deserves to be free. But I want to make sure, brothers and sisters, that we understand that that revolutionary soul has more life in himself in jail than most of us have out here in freedom. So like I said, a month ago today, he turned 73. A month ago today, 8 million people tweeted Obama and demanded his freedom. On January 8th, here at 1199, Pro Libertad, along with many of the organizations and individuals and former PPs that are here, we organized a birthday celebration and we raised nearly $800 for his commissary. Inspired by that 8 million, tweet campaign, Pro Libertad has dedicated the 29th of every month, because he was arrested on May 29th, to being a Twitter campaign, so that on the 29th, all 8 million of us can keep tweeting Obama over and over again. Now, brothers and sisters, our campaign is not just online, because if you think you're going to organize a movement with a hashtag or a Twitter campaign, then You're delusional. So we have postcards that we're having people sign. There are letters that are organized that are being sent to Obama as well. So we're hitting the streets, going out there, raising consciousness, giving out letters, giving out postcards. The first Saturday of every month at 11 a.m., there is a Buddhist chanting session for Oscar. It's organized by our sister, Yolanda. Yoli, stand up. So if you want to be a part of that chanting session, speak to Yolanda. The 34 Mujeres NYC por Oscar, New York, 34 New York women for Oscar López Rivera host a monthly picket the last Sunday of every day from 4 to 4:34. They go around the city collecting signatures, giving out literature, protesting. When you go to support, you're not just chanting, you're also signing letters. Esperanza Martel is here if you want to join them. The women are extraordinary. Last week, I was a part of that picket and I got Spider-Man and Super Mario to sign a letter for the release of Oscar López Rivera. Top that. The weekend of May 28th and 29th, the 29th will be the 35th anniversary of Oscar's arrest. I need you to keep those 2 days earmarked because there's going to be a series of activities, again, including the women's picket as well as other things that weekend for Oscar. The National Boricua Human Rights Network, an organization based out of Chicago, one of the coordinators is Jose Lopez, Oscar's brother, they're coordinating a series of events at the Democratic National Convention. There's going to be resolutions passed and there's going to be local elected officials there discussing Oscar, bringing him up. They're also asking us to save the date. June 20th is the day that the UN Decolonization Committee holds its hearings. We go there, we discuss why Puerto Rico is a colony and why it should be free. All these countries agree that Puerto Rico is a colony and should be free, except the United States. That day, there's gonna be a series of events. 35 nations are gonna be in solidarity with Oscar López Rivera. So we need brothers and sisters to be out there. Okay, brothers and sisters, shifting quickly from a Puerto Rican political prisoner to a Puerto Rican prisoner of conscience. Her name is Ana Belén Montes. Most of you don't know who she is, but now we are doing work to educate. She has been in jail for 13 years because she chose to follow her conscience and not the law. She was a spy for the US government in Cuba. She collected information about Cuba for a department agency of the United States. Eventually, doing that immoral, unethical work weighed on her conscience, and she decided, let me flip the script and start sharing the information from the US to Cuba. The US government hates revolutionaries, hates people who act from ethicism and from morality. So they put her in jail for 13 years. Brothers and sisters, she is in one of the worst prisons in the US, and her treatment is extreme. She's not allowed to watch television, read newspapers, receive phone calls. She's not allowed to interact with other people, even the folks that she's with incarcerated. She's actually in a psychiatric ward, even though she has no mental illness. But even at that point, she's not allowed to interact with anyone except prison guards. February 28th is her birthday. She's turning 59 years old. We have a campaign demanding her release. There's literature at the Pro Libertad table on what we're going to be doing February 28th. In March, we're going to have a letter writing session to Obama because she's not allowed to receive our letters, but Obama can. So we're going to be having an event. Stay tuned. And the international campaign to free Ana Belén is circulating a special letter that they want all US-based activists to sign. We're going to be circulating that letter online and in person. So brothers and sisters, go to our table. We have the power to free our political prisoners and prisoners of consciousness. Let's do it.
Thank you, Brother Ben, on behalf of Brother Oscar and Sister Ana. It's just listening to her case, who I just found out about her, I don't know, maybe a month ago. Our tireless people's attorney, warrior woman, who's defended anybody and everybody who goes up against this unjust criminal enterprise, Lynn Stewart. She sent me an email about her, and I read the background information, and it's just outrageous, you know, when sometimes you think you can't be surprised knowing what you know about this country and its oppression and tyranny. You think you can't be surprised, and then something else happens, and you're like, that's a whole nother low. So it just goes on and on and on, the level of injustices. So I think that it is important that we support Sister Anna and that we do what we can, because we on the outside are the voices, the feet, and the hands of the people who are on the inside. And they are really inside because they were that for us when they were out here. And so it is our duty and our obligation to fight and to do what we can on their behalf. So, because we talk about solidarity, and solidarity is not just a word, but it's an action. It's what we do, how we do the things that we do in order to connect the struggles. So I want to call up Sister Nerdeen. Because there are, in Palestine, which they like to call Israel, there are many political prisoners, some of whom are children, and we don't really get a real clear picture of what is happening to the people of Palestine, because we know who the media is controlled by. But nevertheless, there are people who since 1948 have been resisting, and it is the children who are resisting, and the elders, and from one generation that struggle to the next, the struggle is passed forward. So I want to call up Sister Nerdeen Mohsen. Nerdeen is a founding member and current chair of New York City Students for Justice in Palestine, and a member of the National Students for Justice in Palestine Steering Committee. She is also involved in the National Student Day of Action for Leonard Peltier on February 27th, which the New York City SJP is helping to organize.
So hear about all these important issues. The main issue, the issue of political prisoners all around the world, from Puerto Rico to the United States to Palestine to the Philippines. It's a struggle connected, like, by our common struggle against colonialism, against imperialism, and against capitalism. So you all know about Leonard Peltier. I don't have to, stand here and tell you. He's been held as a political prisoner for 40 years, and he's 71 years old. This reminded me of when I was in the Philippines just a few weeks earlier. I went to the Philippines on the Solidarity exposure to learn from the movement over there, bring back and organize over here. And while we were there, a political prisoner named Edward Serrano actually died while he was incarcerated in jail. He served 11 years, and he was just about to be let out, and he died before he was able to taste freedom. And that happens all the time. He was also a political prisoner. He was in jail because he was fighting for the freedom of his people, much like Leonard Peltier was and continues to do so as part of the American Indian movement. They use things like coercing, like people in the government, false evidence, things like that, to frame the people who are fighting for the cause, to frame them and to imprison them, to shut down our movements. But we won't let them do that. Edward Serrano is one of over 500 political prisoners in the Philippines from the National Democratic Front and the Islamic Liberation Front. And while I was there, I actually saw posters. When I was there, I actually saw posters in the Philippines calling for freedom for Leonard Peltier, for Oscar López Rivera, for Mumia Abu Jamal. I actually saw these posters with my own eyes. And that just affirmed to me that our struggle is one.
Right on.
That the only way that we can demand freedom for political prisoners and demand the freedom of our people is if we do it for people all over the world. We have to look at it from an internationalist perspective. Because the reason Leonard Peltier was in prison, the reason Palestinian political prisoners like Mohammed al-Kik are in prison and Edward Serrano aren't just random. It's not like the government just woke up one day and was like, oh, let's put this bad person away. We all know that's not how it works. No. It's very calculated because these governments work together, plan together, coordinate together to keep our movement, to keep the power of the people down, to keep our movement struggling, because they're capitalist governments, because they're imperialist governments. That's why they work together. So what does that mean? That means that we have to work together. Not just because I want, people here to support Palestine or people here want me to support their movements. That's not why we do it. We do it because we have a fundamental belief and we have an agenda that we want to destroy all forms of oppression in this world. And they're standing together to keep us oppressed. So the only way that we can destroy this oppression, that we can fight back against it, is if we stand together and fight back against it. That's why you have all these different coalitions and organizations and groups here. But to talk about the topic of Palestinian political prisoners, right now, one of the most high-profile cases that are happening currently is actually the imprisonment of Mohammed al-Kik, who's a journalist. He's 33 years old, and he's been on a hunger strike for 74 days. His wife is saying that he has become unresponsive. He's also an administrative detainee. That means that he was in prison without any charge and without any trial. And that happens all the time in Palestine. Just like with the other political prisoner, Mohammed Alan, who was a lawyer. They are two of over 670 Palestinian prisoners that are held in administrative detention. That means they don't even know why they're in jail. They don't even tell them why. They don't even tell them the reasoning that they're putting them in, let alone giving them a trial. And that's 670 out of 7,000 Palestinian prisoners total that are held in Israeli jails. And this brings me back to why we have to work together. So actually, a lot of these jails are facilitated by G4S, a private prison security, a private prison company that has prisons all over the world, but most notably known for their prisons in the US-Mexico border and in Israel because of the human rights violations that happen there. So this actually brings me to a story about two Palestinians who fled Gaza. And if you know anything about Palestine or the Gaza Strip, you'd know why they need to flee. If a Palestinian child who's 8 years old and lives in Gaza has already experienced 3 wars in their lifetime. In the last war, over 2,000 Palestinians were killed. 1,500 of them women and children, and innocent civilians. 500 of them alone children. Every single time they bomb Gaza, they do massive damage to infrastructure, to facilities. People live without electricity for over 16 hours a day. So of course that's a place that people are fleeing. And a lot of times along the way, they die in the process. But Palestinians Hisham Ghalia and Munis Hamoudeh traveled over 8 countries for years from Gaza to get to the US-Mexico border. And once they actually came into the United States, they were imprisoned. They're currently in jail now, and in an Arizona prison that's facilitated by G4S. The same system that exists in Israel. So there's no escaping this. And that's why every single Friday over here in New York City, Samadou and Palestine Prisoner Solidarity Network actually organized this protest against this private prison company. This is something that we should all attend and focus on, because these private prison contracts and these private prison companies are things that our government and our university systems are even invested in. The City University of New York, the largest public university system in all of the United States, actually has money invested in G4S. That means that our tuition money and the money that's coming back to the university is going to prison systems. That's literally the school to prison pipeline right there. And people don't know about it. People are quiet about it. That's why we have to go to these protests. That's why we have to make these connections. Because there are groups like CUNY Prison Divest that are fighting against this, but we need the support of the people. We need the support of the community, because we know that students alone aren't going to be able to liberate the university from these oppressive systems. Right now in Palestine, there are over 500 children in jail. Hundreds of them face sexual abuse at the hands of the Israeli Defense Forces. And a lot of people don't even talk about it and feel like they can't, because not only will nothing be done, but it will also just bring shame to the family. And this is something that we have to fight against. When you have hundreds of children in jails, when you have thousands of Palestinians in Israeli jails, many of them not even being given trial, not even told what they've done to deserve going to jail. And then you have these same companies imprisoning people all across the world. What does that mean? We all know that Israel and the US have this, connection to each other. Right? Like that they support each other. Is that just artificial? Is that just because Israel randomly exists there and the US wants to help it? No. That's because Israel serves as a way for the US to maintain its imperial hegemony in the Middle East. That's because they're both settler colonial nations. That's the same reason why the government of the Philippines coordinates with the United States as well, because they're compradors the way that the Palestinian government, the Palestinian Authority are also compradors and work with Israel against the interests of their own people. They don't represent us. We're Americans, but the United States government doesn't represent us. There's actually a person who became an American citizen who was naturalized. Her name is Rasmiya Oda. She's a Palestinian woman who went to jail in Israel because she was falsely convicted of something along the lines of terrorism or something like that. But if you know anything about Israeli courts and Israeli jails, there's over a 99% conviction rate for Palestinians. That means if you're a Palestinian being presented to an Israeli court, almost 100% of the time, you're going to be found guilty. And they forced her to confessing that she was guilty through sexual abuse, through sexual torture. By plugging electrical things on her genitals, electrocuting her. By raping her as well, in front of her family members. This is the kind of things that they did to extract a confession from her. When that's happening to you, when you're being sexually tortured in front of your family, you're gonna say anything to make it stop. So she served time in Israel, And then as soon as she went to Geneva, she retracted her confession. She said that the only reason she said what she said was because she was being tortured. That's what torture does to you. So she came to the US, filled out her immigration papers and everything like that, and they asked her, have you ever been arrested? And she said no, because she thought they were talking about the United States. So they didn't notice it at first. Years went by, she became a citizen, and then all of a sudden, last year, they accused her of immigration fraud, of lying on her papers by saying that she wasn't arrested. But they didn't care about the fact that the only reason she went to jail and was arrested was because she was a Palestinian, and that she retracted her confession, and that 100% of Palestinians who are given trial in Israel in a criminal court are found guilty. They didn't care about that. So they actually said that they wanted to deport her. The United States government said that she's going to be deported, revoked of her citizenship status, and she went to jail. Her legal team filed an appeal, and right now we're waiting at any moment to hear from them, to hear from the court whether they determine that she was guilty again or not. And if the outcome does not come in her favor, we don't know what day or when this is exactly going to happen, but it's going to be in the next, few days, coming moments. If it doesn't come in her favor, if we figure that out before 12 noon, we're going to organize a protest the same day in front of Federal Plaza, the immigration court. And if they announce it after 12 that day, then we're going to organize the protest for the next day, 5 p.m. So if you want to attend that, search us on Facebook, New York City Students for Justice in Palestine, and you can find more information about the event there. I just want to keep it short and end around here, but leave you with a small message. From Leonard Peltier and Oscar López Rivera to Mohammed Al-Qiq and Eduardo Serrano, free all political prisoners and rest in power to those who died in jails waiting freedom. Like I said before, Edward Serrano served 11 years and died just before he was about to be released. And Mohammed Alan was released only after a reversible brain damage from his hunger strike. Leonard Peltier has been in jail for 40 years. This cannot go on any longer. We cannot stand for any more political prisoners dying while incarcerated. We have to stand for their immediate release. From the US to Puerto Rico and Palestine to the Philippines, we must stand louder and demand the freedom for our people and all those fighting against this racist, capitalist, imperialist, and colonial system. And I'm gonna leave you with a chant that we actually came up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, open up the prison doors. Repeat after me. 1, 2, 3, 4, open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8, smash the settlers' dying estate.
5, 6, 7, 8, smash the settlers' dying estate. We like that.
Thank you, everybody.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna have to use that. 5, 6, 7, 8, smash the settlers' lying state, because that is what it is. We have, thank you, Sister Nerdeen. We have Palestine right here in what they call America. It was the Trail of Tears, Wounded Knee, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Wilmington, North Carolina, Rosewood, Florida, right here in New York City, which is how so many Africans ended up across the river in Brooklyn. So we have those similar states of tyranny and terror that have forced people to not only flee for their lives, but force people to resist. My dream, and I dream a world where when we say the names, any of the names of our political prisoners, from Oscar to Leonard to Mumia, that we say the names David Gilbert, that we say the names Abdul Majid, that we say the name Robert Seth Hayes, that we say the name Jaleel Muntakim, that we say the name Herman Bell, that we say the name Matulu Shakur, that we say the name Imam Jamil Al-Amin, that we say the name Veranza Bowers, that we say the name kioni-sadiki, that we continue to say all of the names so that we, us who know, make visible what this country, this rotten, no, what does sister say? This lion settler state. We want to expose and make visible what they work to make invisible. And we can only say that and do that when we say people's names, when we make them real, when people talk about them as human beings. Yes, courageous freedom fighters. Yes, people who resist and stand against tyranny and terror. But mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles and friends and lovers and wives and husbands. We have so much work to do so that we really internalize that this is about all of us or none of us. So I thank all of the people who have been here to participate, who've joined us in making this event, the drummers, Sister Laura, Brother Frank, everyone who has spoken. And I want to call up Sister, most people will know Ann, because she does everything that ever needs to be done for any of our political prisoners. We would be lost without this woman. I know they say that you cannot make yourself indispensable. She has managed to do that. So we love you, Ann, so come on up.
Right, well, since we ended the last one with the chant, we decided we'd like to start this one with the chant in Spanish, and it goes like this. Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva!
Palestina! All right, that's great. No, I just wanted to say briefly, this is just personal, has nothing to do with a lot of things, but as a Celt, an Irish person, we totally understand what occupation means. We have been occupied for more than 1,000 years. And we have said, and we will always say, Ireland unfree will never be at peace. And I'm sure that the Palestinians feel exactly the same way. So we do understand each other as indigenous peoples of the world. I also wanted to give a shout out to two brothers who are here, former political prisoners. One of them is Tariq Haskins. Stand up, Tariq. Tariq is one of our freedom fighters, Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, did 17 years, and did time with Leonard Peltier. He knows Leonard very well. And we also have our brother, Cisco Torres. Cisco is a co-defendant of Jaleel and Herman from way back in the day when they were the New York Five, and also one of the San Francisco Eight. They're both here. They continue to work all the time. And I'm going to just talk very briefly about New York State political prisoners coming up for parole. I don't have to say about the FOP, the PBA. It's been said. We know who the enemy is. This is our brother Abdul Majid. Abdul Majid is going to the board for the first time. He was sentenced to 33 and a half to life. Now, this has been sort of gotten delayed for a while because he's got a pending Article 78 that they're waiting on, but he could be going at any time. And we have information in the back at our table. We encourage people to pick up these palm cards, write some letters, make phone calls. It's very important. Our brother Maliki Shakur Latin, and there are people here who are members of his defense committee, is going to the board for the 7th time. Our brother Jaleel Muntakim, very famous blogger, poet, and writer, he's going to the board for the 9th time. That's Jaleel, also known as Anthony Bottom. This is our brother Herman Bell. Herman Bell is going to the board for, I believe, the 7th time in March. His lawyer is requesting parole letters, especially from people who have visited him. Please stop by our table. And then we have our brother, Robert Seth Hayes. Robert Seth Hayes is the longest held New York State political prisoner. Jaleel has more time, but he's including his California time. Seth has been down since 1973. He's going to the board for the 10th time, not including the parole appeals, which were also denied. Nature of the crime, every time. This brother especially has been really sick in this past year. I think it's since March that we've been running campaigns for him. He recently was taken to the Albany Medical Center in an emergency basis back at the end of the year. He collapsed. He had been coughing for months and months and months since March, and the prison was basically just ignoring this. You know, oh, you're not really that sick. You know, we didn't even know what was wrong with him. They were giving him a nebulizer. They were giving him, some asthma medication. They hadn't diagnosed him. Finally, he goes, because he has diabetes, he has to go every morning for an insulin shot, have his sugar checked. He got there and he just passed out. So Sunday, and they're running him up to the hospital on an emergency. His wife, Sheila, called me. She was frantic because she had gotten a call from another prisoner, a brother of his, who called to let her know they took him out and we do not know where he is. So finally, the next day at like 4, they finally informed her that he was at the Albany Medical Center. They didn't keep him there very long. I think they should have kept him there longer. But we now find out he has congestive heart failure, probably partially caused by the prison delaying this treatment for so long. He has some form of emphysema, in addition to the diabetes, in addition to the high blood pressure. So it's really, really urgent. This brother, who never asked for anything, said to me, I do not want to die in this place. It is up to all of us, as déqui has said, as Orie has said, as Frankie has said, as we all know. We have to all pull together. If we don't unite to fight this beast wins. And we are not having it. We've got all kinds of information back there. Our comrades from ABC have information about just about every political prisoner in this country. Make sure to stop by the tables, find out what you can do. We have petitions right there that people can sign for parole. It's very important that we keep up the fight because we know who we're fighting against, but they're not going to win. We're going to win because we're going to make it our duty to do so, because we cannot live in this sick, disgusting system anymore. I do not want to live in a fascist country, and we all have to fight against that. And I also wanted to shout out my friend General Ralph Pointer, who I say single-handedly pulled his wife out of prison. And when somebody said to me, "Oh, that's amazing," I said, "No, that is the power of love. And nothing is stronger than the power of love." So let's remember that, and let's all get together and smash this nasty imperialist beast. And then I think that without further ado, I would love to have our brothers from the Red Storm Drum and Dance Troupe close out this event with more of their wonderful, wonderful drumming.
One of the kids has the other three just, so they get.
Something yesterday I forgot about her.
Not that I know of. So next Friday, a lot of good speakers on that one. We will be there.
Those are the speakers or those are prisoners? Speakers, okay.
No, I think this camera switched itself to another mode when I wasn't looking. Yes, my friend out of LA Mountain.
She's getting cliche, but part of it. Yeah, I see the other day, he decorates a cake, he made a cake. This is something where he was just like, it was not a cake, it was kind of like a day. He could like show his paper because he's legit, but I mean, he can show his paper because that's what they do. Like, it's just like, it is such a small, yeah, like the whites have this, paper, like at any place.
I have